Alright guys, this video is going to go along with 3.4. It's the notes of inverse trig derivatives. So in the beginning here, I'm really just going to talk about some of the domain and range restrictions of the inverse trig functions. So I'm not going to go through them super in depth, but arcsine, which is also the same as sine inverse of x, okay? So y equals arcsine of x if and only if sine of y equals x. Now, I'm going to kind of go back and forth between these restrictions and the pictures here. So I want you to think about what sine looks like. So sine looks like this. Okay? So sine, we said the other day, is not one-to-one. Okay, it fails the vertical and nope, it passes the vertical line test, excuse me, but fails the horizontal line test. But we said if we can restrict the domain of some of these functions so that they are one-to-one, and they pass the vertical and the horizontal line test, then we can talk about how they're inverse, the originals of function and the inverses of function. So if we restrict this guy, and I think we mentioned this briefly the other day, from basically that minimum up to that maximum, so from negative pi over 2 to pi over 2, that would then force the domain to be negative pi over 2 to pi over 2, and the range is from negative 1 to 1. Now we know when we go to an inverse that the domain and range flips, so that's why you see that happening here. We also know, and you know I'm not a fabulous grapher here, but the inverse is going to reflect across this line y equals x. So almost picture this piece like going like this, and this piece kind of going like this. So that's why the arcsine looks like this. Now, I'd be lying if I sat here and said that I, off the top of my head, know all of the restrictions of all of the inverse trig functions. Some of them I have to sit and think about. Okay, so let's look at cosine real quick. Okay, so the graph of cosine looks like this. Also, not one-to-one, so we'd have to restrict this guy. So where we restrict cosine, and I don't know how much people remember from trig, but we restrict this guy from 0 to pi. So if we look at just that section, it would pass the horizontal and vertical line test. So if we restrict the domain from 0 to pi, the range is negative 1 to 1. Once again, you can see that those flip for the inverse. This one is a little harder to show the reflection across y equals x because I'm not a great drawer here. But basically, this portion right here is going to flip on this side, and that's why you're seeing this section here. And then this little piece flips down here, and that's why you see this section here. Okay? I'm going to go through tan. I'm not going to go through all of arc, cosecant, secant, and cotan. But so tan has all these asymptotes. Okay, but this is the general shape of what tan looks like. Okay, and these asymptotes occur at multiples of pi over 2. Okay, so we're going to restrict it to just one of these. Okay, so our domain, now notice in these, my domain had brackets because we were including the endpoints. Here, these asymptotes are at pi over 2, negative pi over 2, so I am not including those endpoints. And then the range, it's going all the way down to negative infinity and up to positive infinity. So the range is all reals. So once again, you see when we go to the inverse that the domain and range flip. Same thing then, reflecting across the line y equals x, this guy kind of turns like this. Okay? We could go through the graphs of cosecant, secant, cotan, restrict them, do all that jazz. They're not super common. I'm just going to be honest. Okay? But I have all of the pictures of the inverse cosecant, secant, cotan there, and their domain and range restrictions up here. Like I said, not super common. Wouldn't lose sleep over them. So now let's jump into a little bit of the derivatives. And this is me purely showing you where some of these come from, why they are the way they are. Okay, so let's start with this first guy. This is saying I want to derive this function. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite this. I'm going to take sine of each side. So I'm basically going to have sine y equals, here sine and sine inverse cancel, equals x. And now what I'm going to do is I am going to derive this implicitly. The derivative of sine y is cosine y dy dx equals 1. All right, let's solve for dy dx. Oops. Sorry about that. So dy dx equals 1 over cosine cosine y. Now, ideally, this isn't going to be written in terms of y, so we'll want to get this in terms of x. And you're probably thinking, how am I going to get that in terms of x? So, little side note, we know that sine squared x plus cosine squared x equals 1. You could also then flip it and say sine squared y plus cosine squared y equals 1. As long as these pieces match, this relationship is true and holds. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to solve this for cosine. So subtract over the sine squared, square root both sides. So cosine y equals the square root of 1 minus sine squared y. So then you can see, oh my goodness, look at that. And you're probably like, still not in terms of x. But watch this. If you look above, I have a relationship for sine y that's in terms of x. See that there? So sine y is equal to x. So now I can say 1 over the square root of 1 minus x squared. And there we go. That is the derivative of sine inverse of x. Like I said, all of this is me kind of proving why it is the way it is. Okay? I'm going to do the same thing with tan. I'm not going to do it for all 6 of them. It's overkill. But once again, just showing you where some of these derivatives come from. So in this guy, let's do the same thing. Let's take tan of both sides. So I have tan y equals x. Let's derive it implicitly. So the derivative of tan y is secant squared y dy dx equals 1. Solve for dy dx. Now once again, we want this rewritten in terms of x. And you're probably like, I don't see it. So another relationship, a trig identity. So if we go back, we know sine squared y plus cosine squared y equals 1. We want the Pythagorean identity that has secant squared in it. So hopefully in your mind you're thinking, well, secant squared goes with cosine. So 1 over cosine squared would be secant squared. Well, I can't just do it to that piece. I got to do it to every piece. So this would give me my secant squared y. Cosine squared over cosine squared y is 1. Sine squared y over cosine squared y is going to be tan squared y. There we go. We have a substitution. But once again, you're probably like, still in terms of y. But if you look above, kind of like we did in the last one, ding, 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 tan y is equal to x. So we get 1 over x squared plus 1. So that's where the derivative for tan comes from. And the bottom could also be 1 over 1 plus x squared. Addition is commutative, so it doesn't really matter the order there. Okay, like I said, I'm not going to go through it for all of them. Now, those were all if it's just x. So if we just had y equals sine inverse of x. But what if we have something else inside other than x? Okay, kind of like we know generic derivative of ln of x is 1 over x. But if we have other stuff inside, say ln of u, the derivative of that is whatever's inside goes in the bottom and its derivative goes up top. The same idea here. We use this u to stand for anything we want on the inside, basically. So what happens is instead of having x over, 1 over square root of 1 minus x squared like we saw above, okay, you have 1 minus u squared, and then the derivative of u goes in the numerator. Here it was just x, and the derivative of x is 1, so that's why the numerator was 1 there. Same idea here. Whatever this inside is, this u is, we'll have 1 plus u squared on the bottom, and then u prime up top. Okay? Secant, which is not common at all on the AP exam. Okay, so this one, you have the square root of u squared minus 1 in the bottom, the absolute value of u, and then u prime up top. Then these three, if you notice, they're the exact same as these guys, just negative. Okay, now, I got to be honest with you. The most common ones you'll see on the AP exam are arcsine and arctan. They're the ones that come up the most. Okay, arc cosine might come up here and there also, but that's not that hard to remember if you know arcsine. You just negate arcsine. Okay, but these two are the most important two over here. Okay. All right. So let's look at these in terms of some problems now. All right, so find dy dx. Hold on, did my video stop? Sorry, it looked like the video stopped for a second. So find dy dx of y equals sine inverse of 2x. So this is that u that I'm referring to. So we saw above the formula is for sine inverse u prime over the square root of 1 minus u squared. So let's plug it in. I always do the denominator first. You don't have to. It's just a habit. So 1 minus, if that's my u, I want to square the whole thing. So that would be 4x squared. Now, u prime goes up top, not the derivative of this guy. That's u squared. We want the derivative of u, so we want the derivative of this, which is 2 up top. That's it. Okay, the second one I'm going to start, but remind me in class tomorrow to finish showing you the simplification of it. It's a little bit annoying, not going to lie. So once again, that's my u. So if we go to fill in, we have the square root of 1 minus u squared. So we got to square that whole thing. So that's 9 over x squared. And then the derivative of u, once again, not the 9 over x squared, this guy up here, goes in the numerator. So to derive that, we'll bring that x up. So we would get negative 3 over x squared. Right, swing that guy, subtract 1. I just dropped it back down there. So I'm going to pause there for that part. And remind me tomorrow, I will show you the simplification. It's kind of annoying. All right, tan inverse of e to the x. So we saw above that the derivative of tan inverse is u prime over 1 plus u squared. So once again, this is my u. E to the x is my u. So I'm going to have 1 plus, I'm going to square e to the x. So if I square e to the x, that's the same as e to the 2x. Okay? And then the derivative of u, which is e to the x, goes up top. That's just e to the x. Done and done. So once you know the formulas of these, they're really not that bad. We're going to skip that guy, not worth it. All right, arc sine. So once again, that's u prime over the square root of 1 minus u squared. So this whole thing is now my u. Okay, so I have the square root of 1 minus. I'm going to square all of u. I am not going to FOIL that out. Leave it alone. Don't bother. And then u prime, remember, this is u, goes up top. So the derivative of x squared plus 5 is 2x. Leave it alone. Inverse trig is very, very, I don't want to say uncommon on the exam. It doesn't come up often at all. All right, let's try this guy. So once again, this is your u. So I have 1 plus u squared on the bottom. So that's that whole 2x squared minus 1, that guy squared. And then the derivative of u up top. So the derivative of this 2x squared minus 1, that's just 4x. Now, I just want to throw this out there. FRQ, totally acceptable, final answer, done and done. Just know in a multiple choice, they could FOIL this guy out. So that would be 4x to the 4th minus 4x squared plus 1. And maybe they combine like terms here. I missed that square, my bad. That's minus 4x squared. So minus 4x squared plus 2. And maybe they reduce everything by 2. So it's one of those things, can you recognize if this is a multiple choice answer that it's the same thing? Like I said, generally they don't do a ton with these. All right, last one. This one's backwards. They gave you the derivative and you want to try and figure out what did we start with. Okay, so first of all, there's a negative out front. So this could go one of two ways. If I see a negative out front and I see the square root of 1 minus something, I think that this is going to be cosine inverse. So now I have to ask myself, if this is that u squared spot, what did I square? What was u? What did I square to get to that? Hopefully you're saying 3x squared. And then double check. Is u prime 6x? Yep, there we go. Okay, so every once in a while, it'll be like a multiple choice, and they'll say, hey, we started with the derivative. What was the original? And we are not doing this word problem, and this is perfect timing for the end of this video because I only have about 10 seconds left. So hopefully you're okay with everything. Mark any questions you may have, and we can talk about them more tomorrow. Bye, guys.